My name is Juliet, and I'm a 21-year-old physics student at MIT, one of the best universities in America. I'm blonde with hair that cascades down to my shoulders in loose, natural waves. My body is fit, shaped by years of yoga and running. I stand at 5'7" with a slender waist, toned legs, and a bust that I've always considered one of my best features, a perky 32C. I live in a cozy apartment in Cambridge with my stepdad, Vincent, who moved in with us after marrying my mom when I was just starting high school. Today, I'm wearing what I usually do at home: a pair of short denim shorts and a loose blue t-shirt. Underneath, I have on a white lace bra and matching panties because, well, I like feeling pretty even when I'm just chilling at home. I hate wearing socks, so my feet are always bare. I have a ritual of painting my nails, particularly my toes. My favorite color is white, which matches my current mood: clean, fresh, and a bit rebellious against the usual reds and pinks. My shoe size is a US 6, which seems tiny but fits me perfectly. Let me tell you about my life at MIT. I'm majoring in physics, which might sound dull to some, but to me, it's like solving the universe's biggest puzzles. My days are filled with lectures on quantum mechanics, labs where we experiment with light and matter, and group projects that often keep me up late into the night. "Juliet, are your projects going to keep you up again tonight?" Vincent asked one evening as he saw me surrounded by books and papers at the kitchen table. "Probably," I sighed, pushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "We're working on a project that involves light polarization. It's fascinating but time-consuming." Vincent, always supportive, nodded. "Remember to take breaks. You're not just a student, you're a person who needs rest." He's right, of course. Balancing my academic life with personal time is tough. Vincent has been there since I was a teenager, offering advice, support, but also enforcing boundaries, especially since we've been living together without my mom, who travels frequently for work. One evening, as we were having dinner, I decided to share more about my day. Today in class, we had this incredible guest lecture about black holes. It was like stepping into another dimension of thought. "That sounds captivating, Juliet. You're really living your passion," Vincent commented, passing me the salad. "Yeah, but the passion comes with its own set of challenges. Like, how do you balance wanting to excel in your field with having a life outside of it?" Vincent took a sip of his water before answering. "It's about setting priorities. You're at a top university in a challenging field. But remember, your health, your relationships, they're crucial too." Our conversations often veered like this, from the academic to the personal, creating a dynamic where I felt both guided and free to explore my thoughts aloud. As the night drew on, we moved to the couch, discussing everything from the mundane to the profound. I shared more about my day, about how I sometimes felt out of place among so many brilliant minds, yet Vincent always reminded me of my own brilliance. "You're not just another student, Juliet. You're someone who can change the world with your curiosity and your heart," he said, his voice soft yet firm. I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. Living with Vincent had its complexities, but it also had moments like these where I felt truly seen and valued, not just for my academic prowess, but for who I am as a person. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about how this relationship, unconventional as it might seem to some, was one of the most significant in my life. It was a relationship built on mutual respect, support, and the shared journey of navigating life's big questions. This narrative focuses on the depth of their relationship, highlighting personal growth, academic life, and the nuances of living together in a non-romantic, supportive environment. The pressures of MIT were beginning to take their toll on me. The sleepless nights where I'd stare at the ceiling, pondering over equations or existential dread, were becoming more frequent. Depression was creeping in, not with loud cries or dramatic scenes, but with a quiet, persistent sadness that made even the brightest days feel gray. One evening, after another night where sleep was a distant dream, I sat at the kitchen table, my head in my hands, textbooks pushed aside. Vincent noticed immediately. "Juliet, you look exhausted. Have you been sleeping?" he asked, concern lacing his tone as he set down a cup of tea in front of me. I shook my head, feeling the weight of my own vulnerability. It's been tough. The pressure, the thoughts. I just can't seem to shut my brain off. Vincent sat next to me, his presence comforting, yet not intrusive. Maybe you need a different kind of support. Tonight, why don't you sleep in my room? Sometimes, just knowing someone's nearby can help. I hesitated, the idea both comforting and slightly overwhelming, but the thought of another night alone with my thoughts was unbearable. Okay, I whispered, grateful, yet nervous. That night, I followed Vincent to his room, feeling like a child seeking comfort after a nightmare. His room smelled like the cedarwood cologne he wore, a scent that had always made me feel safe. I climbed into his bed, careful to keep my distance, but sleep was still elusive. Hours must have passed when, in my half-awake state, I felt the warmth of another presence. Instinctively, I moved closer, my legs tangling with his in search of comfort. Suddenly, Vincent's hand touched my shoulder, and I jolted awake, heart racing from the unexpected contact. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, Vincent said quickly, withdrawing his hand. You seemed restless, and I thought... I took a deep breath, calming down. No, it's okay. I was just surprised. I guess I was looking for something to ground me. My voice was small, admitting my need for human connection in the darkness. Vincent nodded, understanding in his eyes. If it helps, I can stay close, just to make sure you feel safe. I nodded, and he cautiously wrapped an arm around me in a protective, not possessive, embrace. We lay there, not speaking, just existing in the shared space of vulnerability and care. The next morning, I woke up feeling slightly better, having slept more than I had in weeks. Vincent was already up, making breakfast, the smell of pancakes filling the air. I hope you slept better, he said, handing me a plate. I did, thank you. It was nice not being alone with my thoughts, I admitted, taking a bite and feeling the warmth of both the food and the company. From then on, whenever the nights felt too dark or my mind too loud, I knew I could seek refuge in his room. It wasn't about crossing lines, but about finding comfort in the presence of someone who cared, someone who understood the silent battles fought in the quiet of the night. Our relationship grew deeper, not through words, but through these moments of mutual support, a testament to the bond that had formed beyond the conventional into something uniquely ours. This narrative continues to explore the complexity of their relationship, while focusing on emotional support and the nuances of dealing with depression in a respectful, caring environment. The weeks at MIT were challenging, not just academically, but emotionally as well. I found myself longing for connection, for someone to look at me with affection that went beyond familial or platonic love. The loneliness of being surrounded by people, yet feeling utterly alone, was suffocating. One evening, after another day of lectures and labs, I sat with Vincent. The silence between us filled with my unspoken frustrations. Finally, I voiced what had been weighing on me. Vincent, I feel like I'm the only one not experiencing love here. Everyone seems to have someone, and I just feel so alone. Vincent listened, his expression softening. Juliet, love isn't something you can force or rush. It comes when you least expect it, in forms you might not recognize at first. I sighed, knowing he was right but feeling the sting of reality. Then, a thought struck me, one that might not solve my longing for romance but could offer a different kind of comfort. Would you mind giving me a massage tonight? Maybe with some oil? I think it might help me relax, sleep better. There was a pause. Then Vincent smiled warmly. Of course, I'd be happy to help. Later, in the quiet of the night, I lay on my stomach in his room, the scent of lavender oil filling the air. Vincent's hands were gentle as they worked over my shoulders, down my back, easing the knots of stress I hadn't even realized were there. The silence was broken only by the soft sounds of his hands moving across my skin. As he moved to my feet, he spoke, his voice almost reverent. "Your feet are so beautiful, so small. And the white polish, it suits you perfectly." I felt a blush creep up my cheeks. The compliment unexpected but welcomed. "Thank you, Vincent. I never thought someone would notice something like that." He continued, his hands meticulously massaging each toe. "Sometimes it's the little details that make someone unique, that make them beautiful." The massage was therapeutic, not just physically but emotionally. It was a reminder that even in moments of loneliness, there was someone who saw me, who cared for me in his own way. As his hands moved back up my legs, I felt a sense of peace washing over me, the tension of the day melting away under his touch. When he finished, I rolled over, pulling the blanket over me, feeling more relaxed than I had in months. That was exactly what I needed. "Thank you, Vincent." He nodded, a soft smile on his face. "Anytime, Juliet. Remember, you're not alone, even when it feels like you are." That night, I slept deeply, the comfort of his presence and the care he showed lingering in my mind. It wasn't the romantic love I craved, but it was love nonetheless, a protective, nurturing kind that reminded me I was cherished. The next morning, I woke up with a new perspective. Maybe love didn't have to look like the fairy tales or the stories from my peers. Maybe it was here, in these quiet, caring moments, waiting to be recognized and appreciated. The comfort I found in Vincent's massages became something I looked forward to, not just for physical relief, but for the emotional sanctuary it provided. One evening, after another long day of grappling with complex physics problems, I found myself craving that tranquility again. "Vincent," I started hesitantly as we sat in the living room, "could you do me another favor tonight?" He looked up from his book, his gaze meeting mine with interest. "Of course. What is it?" I took a deep breath, feeling the vulnerability of my request. "Could you give me another massage? But this time, could you focus on my feet again? And would it be too much to ask if you could kiss them? Kiss my legs too, up to my waist? I know it sounds weird, but I think it would help me relax even more." Vincent was silent for a moment, processing my request. Then, with a gentle smile, he said, "Juliet, if that's what you need to feel at peace, then I'm here for you. Let's make this a night of relaxation." We moved to his room where he prepared the lavender oil, the scent immediately soothing my nerves. I lay down, my heart beating a little faster with anticipation. Vincent started with my feet, his hands skillful and tender, each stroke sending waves of relaxation through me. "Your feet really are something special," he murmured, lifting one of my feet to his lips, placing a gentle kiss on the top. "The way they look with that white polish, it's like art." I chuckled softly, the sensation both tickling and comforting. "You always notice the smallest things, don't you?" He smiled, moving to the other foot, repeating the gesture. "It's the small things that often matter the most." As his hands moved up my calves, his touch was reverent, each stroke deliberate. When he reached my knees, he paused, looking up at me for reassurance. I nodded, and he continued, his lips brushing against my skin, working their way up my thighs. It was an odd sensation, one filled with care rather than any inappropriate intent, a way to show affection and comfort in an unconventional manner. "Your legs are strong, Juliet. They've carried you through so much," he said, his voice soft as he kissed my knees and then higher, stopping just at the edge of my shorts. I felt a deep sense of being cared for, cherished in a way that transcended the typical. "Thank you, Vincent. This means a lot to me," I managed to say, my eyes closing as I let the sensation of peace envelop me. He finished by gently massaging my lower back, his hands warm and grounding. "You're not just a student or a daughter, Juliet. You're someone who deserves to feel loved, to feel at ease." As he concluded the massage, I rolled onto my side, looking at him with gratitude. "I feel so much better, like I can handle whatever comes next. Thank you for understanding what I needed." Vincent sat beside me, his hand resting comfortingly on my shoulder. "Remember, you're never alone in this. Whatever form love takes, whether it's this or something else, it's here for you." That night I fell asleep with a smile, feeling the weight of my loneliness lift, if only for a moment. The bond with Vincent had transformed into something profound, a testament to the many faces of love and support